Hello everyone, in this video I would like for us to concern ourselves with a sentiment that is shared amongst the corrupt pool that is Washington DC, as well as Western leaders in general. Of course, this includes NATO and every entity in relation to it. And this sentiment that we'll be discussing that I'm referring to is the one that goes the following way. Due to the Russian invasion of Ukraine, we must shovel billions upon billions, an endless sum of dollars into Ukraine that's meant to buy weapons and all these other different war machines and what have you. And the purported goal here is supposedly to drive out the Russian hordes and to defeat Vladimir Putin, and then he will face retribution under international law in some effect. That's basically it. But what I want to do very quickly is show you a clip of Lindsey Graham explaining this to you in the only way that Lindsey Graham can. Take a look at this.
Kevin McCarthy said no blank checks. That makes sense to me. We're not asking for a blank check. I'm not. I'm asking for military aid to accomplish the purpose of driving Russian invaders out of Ukraine. If Putin gets away with this, there goes Taiwan. If Putin's successful in Ukraine is not prosecuted under international law, everything we've said since World War II becomes a joke. He will continue beyond Ukraine.
Let me put it slightly differently. We're not asking for.
Now, hopefully, as you watch that short clip, you paid attention to the vocabulary there, because that is something that we will indeed return to. So, first of all, I have been told in past videos in the comment section that maybe I should watch my mouth because I say bad words every now and again. So I won't say what I would like to say. YouTube wouldn't like that either, not that it matters anyway at this current moment. But what I will say is this: Lindsey Graham is nothing short of a complete idiot. We've discussed him several times on this channel. If you go back, his name may even be in the title of certain videos, but that's for a very good reason. This is a man, as far as I see, that seemingly has little to no intelligence present in his brain whatsoever. So let's go through these assertions here that he's making, because that's the interesting thing about Lindsey Graham, but politicians in general. But let's just stay to Lindsey Graham for a second. He speaks here strictly in assertions, right? Just straight assertions is what he's presenting for us here. Nothing is fact. Nothing that he said in that short clip is backed by a shred of evidence. There's no studies. There's nothing that anyone, particularly the people that he's assigning these things to, i.e. Vladimir Putin and Russia, that they would go any further than the regions that they're securing in Ukraine after they indeed do so, which is why this is so incredibly ridiculous. And, to anybody with an objective mindset, it would sound as so. So he starts off in the clip by saying that they're asking for military aid. They call this stuff aid, okay? Defense is what they call it. It's always defense with them. But they're asking for military aid to give to Ukraine to essentially defeat the Russians. Okay, well, let's start off with a fact. This isn't an assertion that I'm about to make as Mr. Graham did. These are facts right here, because that's what we're here for. It is a fact that the billions of dollars, and right now at the very least we're sitting at least 40 billion. I've seen numbers and very credible people say upwards of $100 billion being spent on the war in Ukraine. None of it has proven that they can indeed win this war. They're currently losing this war. We get a very, very fancy tale about who's actually winning this war and who's losing and what side is taking what hits from our mainstream media that gives us nothing but propaganda. But there is indeed a truth here, and indeed both sides do their fair share of lying. But I mean, this is just unabashed. it's an undisputable fact that the money that we've been sending into Ukraine has not done what it's supposed to do. And so, what would the answer be to Mr. Graham and these other politicians and world leaders? Send more money? Is that what their answer would be? And I want to say this as a little side note before I continue. I was watching someone, a very credible individual that speaks about these issues in great detail, very eloquently and sufficiently, in my opinion. And he brought up something that I didn't think about. He said that they're giving all this money to Ukraine for the war effort, right? All this aid, right? Well, Ukraine is currently being destroyed. It effectively is destroyed. This happened at the hands of the Russian military, of course. Well, after all this is said and done, all this money that they were given to fuel the war effort, are they going to give an equal or more amount to rebuild Ukraine? Because I've seen numbers that say it'll take hundreds of billions of dollars to rebuild it in its current state. And who knows what that number will be when this thing is all said and done. I'll let you sit on that and digest it. But nearing the end of the video here is where we get into the most disturbing remarks of Mr. Graham. He says, and this is a direct quote, "If Putin gets away with this, there goes Taiwan." Before we proceed, let's just stop right there. There is not a single shred of evidence that tells us that if Putin takes Ukraine, which that's not even the goal of the Russians, but he doesn't care. I mean, they've stated their goals and they've stayed true to them. If you've monitored this thing with any sort of, as I've said before, honesty and objectivity, if they get away with this, there goes Taiwan. So Vladimir Putin is going to invade Taiwan and take Taiwan. I mean, that's all you can really garner from that remark, and it's insidious. I mean, there's no evidence to back, but he's just talking, and he expects the American people, as they usually do, unfortunately, to eat this up and believe it. You know, to paint the big bad enemy so they can keep giving money to the military and causing horror across the world. He says if Putin's successful in Ukraine and isn't prosecuted under international law, everything we've said since World War II becomes a joke. He will continue beyond Ukraine. Needless to say, there's no evidence that he will continue beyond Ukraine. He has never stated that he will continue beyond Ukraine. Needless to say that he doesn't even need to state it. His actions have not shown that he will continue beyond Ukraine. I don't know what kind of character they think they have in Vladimir Putin, where they can paint him as this evildoer that wants to conquer the world. But anybody that actually has two eyes that are capable of seeing reality can see that that isn't anything near the case as to what we're experiencing. And to top this thing off, to bring up international law as if he doesn't serve a state that so consistently and continuously undermines, avoids, evades, and just pisses in the face of international law. It's outright laughable. Should the United States be prosecuted under international law for what they did to Libya, for invading Iraq, for invading Afghanistan, Vietnam? These are crimes that no one has paid for, by the way. All the perpetrators of it, the ringleaders, are scot-free, living their merry lives, while we get BS like this. Lindsey Graham giving us this nonsense and expecting us to digest it.